Thank you, choir. I turn us now to our bell tower where it looks like Jen and is that Matt Harmon up there are going to be ringing our bell.
You did it.
Good morning to all of you on this beautiful and sunny winter's morning. I want to welcome you to our beloved sanctuary, as well as to our digital sanctuary on Zoom. My name is Tom Keitel, and I am the current chair of music and worship. Many thanks to Joel Niditz, who is our camera point person today. Those of you who are here in person, we ask that you keep your mask on at all times while indoors, though worship leaders may take off their masks at the mic when distanced from others. People of all ages are welcome to move about the sanctuary as they need, and coloring sheets are available at either entryway. Our lifespan religious educator, Rose Golightly, is off this Sunday, but our child care provider, Shannon, is available to accompany nursery-age children to our nursery room in the parish hall at any time. As we begin our service today, we acknowledge that our church was built on ancestral unceded land of the Massachusetts people. We acknowledge the devastating legacy of settler colonialism and the continuing harm done to Indigenous groups in our community and beyond. May our commitment to justice, equity, and compassion call us to take meaningful, restorative action to honor and protect the land and all her people. We invite you, all of you, to bring your perspectives, your beliefs, your doubts, and all that is unique and wondrous about you to our service. In the spirit of love, all are welcome here. If you are new to Theodore Parker Church or are visiting today, you'd love to stay in touch, you're invited to fill out a connection card, which will give you an opportunity to sign up for our weekly updates and help us to welcome you. A link to the connection card will be in the chat, as well as our contact information. Those joining us here in the sanctuary are encouraged to fill out the contact card, which you will find in your pews with the bright yellow pamphlet. We'd like to offer a moment for those joining us remotely to greet those of us joining in person. So AV folks, could you please put the sanctuary screens on gallery view so we can see all of our off-site congregation. Folks joining us on Zoom, you can now see the sanctuary, so give us a wave if you'd like. And the folks in the sanctuary, the camera is behind you, just below the clock. Give us a big wave and say hello to the folks who are here with us remotely.
Good morning, off-site folks.
Wonderful to be all together today. We hope that each of you will find some comfort to carry with you over the week and some challenge for your thoughts. As always, we wish for each of you health, well-being, and a sense of peace. As our pianist Yakiko Takaki brings us into worship with Opening from Glassworks by Philip Glass, we bid you welcome.
Thank you, Yukiko. There's something about Philip Glass that just seems perfect for a service about winter and spaciousness. Well, good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year to those of you who I'm seeing for the first time in 2023. It's really good to be together. As we continue to evolve our practices for welcoming, we want to let you know of new and ongoing ways to access our order of service. There are a couple paper copies of our large print order of service up here. Please feel free to take them. And we wanted to let you know that we send out a link to the order of service in the TPC Talk link on Sunday mornings, and it's on the QR codes at the front and back entrance. It's okay to look at your phone during church if you want to be following along with the order of service. So please feel free to make yourself as at home as possible to be able to follow along. I welcome us into this service about spiritual lessons from winter with these words from Ben Sold. Now has come hard winter, with whip of wind and slash of snow and diamond bright stars in the black ice of the heavens. Just as we resist the season with shovel and scraper, wool and windbreaker, we embrace it with sled and snowboard, cocoa and comforter. Winter is here. Let us find warmth in this time of being together. In that spirit, we sing our opening hymn. It's the first one in your teal hymnal, number 1000, Morning Has Come. It was composed by Reverend Jason Shelton for a morning worship at the UU Musicians Network conference. Just like this week, it was one where it was rainy, gray and gloomy until they sang this song, and the sky turned blue and the sun shone gloriously through the chapel windows, as is happening right now through that very bright rose window up there. So I invite you to rise in body, rise in spirit, and raise your voices as we sing together, Morning Has Come. You may be seated, and I invite up Robin Colgrove and Stenzi Royden, who will help me in lighting our chalice. We light our chalice each week with words of covenant, words of shared promise. We say them together aloud, first in English, and then in Spanish, in honor of our sister community in Plazuelas, El Salvador. I invite you to join with me in saying our chalice lighting words, which will be in our chat and up on the screen.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
El amor es el espíritu de esta esta iglesia. El servicio es nuestra oración. Esta es nuestra gran promesa. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Thank you. And as Tom mentioned, our lifespan religious educator, Rose Galugli, is away. She's at a wedding in England this weekend. So I get to do one of the things I really like, which is sharing a story for all ages. And those who are younger, you're welcome to stick around throughout the whole service. There's coloring stuff, and there's toys and books out in the narthex. So I want to have a show of hands for all ages. Okay, how many, and you can raise your hand for both if you're feeling both things. How many of you like winter? You can raise your hand. Oh, good. It's a good place to be living in New England if you like winter. Okay, hands down. How many of you don't like winter? Yeah, sometimes I feel both. So when it started snowing, I was like, I like winter. When it was cold raining, I don't like winter. Our story today is one about finding ways to make winter warm and cozy, which is a reminder that I know I need over and over. This is a book called Winter is the Warmest Season, and let me pull it up to share with us all this morning. Okay, good. Let me make sure I can see it all the way on my screen. It's by Lauren Stringer. Winter is the warmest season. Most people think it's summer with its long, steamy days, but not me. My world is warmest in winter. When winter comes, my jacket puffs warm with feathers. My hat grows ear flaps. My pants hide deep in fuzzy boots, and my hands wear warm, woolly sweaters. When winter comes, summer's plants and animals sleep deep under thick blankets of snow, while the snowmen I build dance on top, wearing warm wraparound scarves. When winter comes, my iced summer's milk turns to hot cocoa. Cold jelly sandwiches turn into grilled cheese. Hot soups, hot pies, and oven-hot breads make winter the warmest for the inside of me. And in fact, I brought a bunch of extra hot cocoa for today's coffee hour, just saying. When winter comes, summer's cool fans hide in dark basements, while sleeping radiators awake to their dragon selves, banging and hissing and pouring heat all through my house. How many of you can hear our hissing dragon radiators here? Yeah, you might even be able to hear them through Zoom. And we pause. When winter comes, cats sit on laps instead of windowsills. Even nights are warmer in winter. Fires burn in fireplaces. Candles burn in candle places. I think parties are warmer in winter. And when summer's cool swims turn into winter's hot baths. Oh, that dog looks like it's enjoying a bubble bath much more than Sully back here enjoys bubble baths. I know my pajamas will grow big, warm feet. My bed is warmest in winter, piled high with blankets of plaid, blankets striped yellow, and a blue starry quilt on top. In winter, bodies sit closer, books last longer, and hugs squeeze the warmest. Even friends are warmer And in winter, when it's the very warmest and I close my sleepy eyes, I might dream of summer. Just to cool me off. The end. So as we go through today's service, I invite you to think about what is it that helps you feel warm and cozy and have fun in winter? What are the ways we can appreciate it and enjoy each other's company in this cold season? So ends our story for all ages. And so let's sing together again. This is one of my favorite hymns that we only really get to sing a couple of times a year. It's called Dark of Winter. So we sing it generally in the dark of winter. It's number 55. It's a beautiful hymn by UU musician Shelley Jackson Denham. I invite us to sing together this hymn in praise to the gentle beauties of winter. Why don't we rise in body, spirit, or voice as we sing together?
Darkness soothe my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress thee, and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness, when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me.
May be seated. I invite you to join me now in a time of meditation and prayer. First in words, then in about a minute of shared silence, and then in a musical meditation. Our meditation for a new year is by Reverend Amanda Poppy. My friends, we have arrived here in this new year. We have crossed the boundary of time into the next year with all its resolutions and plans and schedules ahead of us. Let us pause for just this moment before we move boldly onward. Let us pause to hear the breathing of those around us, to feel their presence in this room, to know their presence in our lives. Let us pause to consider the trees, their branches stripped bare, their elegant architecture on display. Let us pause to feel the spirit of life and love that ties us to each other, that winds its way through our very bones and settles in our hearts. Before we move forward, armed with resolutions that will shortly be forgotten in the day-to-day of living, let us notice let us notice what it is that remains every year, every day. What exists beyond schedules and months, beyond time. It welcomes us to life, not just at the start of the year, but every day. And to it, let us answer, Amen. Let us be together in sacred silence. Amen.
Generosity is a spiritual practice in our Unitarian Universalist congregations. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger and larger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with gratitude for all that we have been given, and with the faith that together we have more than enough. Links to donate will be in the chat, or you can take a meditative moment writing out a check and sending it to the church after the service. Ushers will be coming around the sanctuary to collect an offering from those in the pews who wish to donate something more tangible. As Yukiko shares Modern Love Waltz by Philip Glass, an offering to sustain this congregation of memory and hope will be gratefully received. Thank you.
Thank you. I welcome up Marianne Millsap to share our reading today, which is from the poet Mary Oliver.
Snowy Night by Mary Oliver. Last night, an owl in the blue dark tossed an indeterminate number of carefully shaped sounds into the world, in which, a quarter of a mile away, I happened to be standing. I couldn't tell which one it was, the barred or the great horned ship of the air. It was that distant. But anyway, aren't there moments that are better than knowing something and sweeter? Snow was falling, so much like stars filling the dark trees that one could easily imagine its reason for being was nothing more than prettiness. I suppose if this were someone else's story, they would have insisted on knowing whatever is knowable, would have hurried over the fields to name it. The owl, I mean. But it's mine, this poem of the night. And I just stood there, listening and holding out my hands to the soft glitter falling through the air. I love this world, but not for its answers. And I wish good luck to the owl, whatever its name. And I wish great welcome to the snow, whatever its severe and comfortless and beautiful meaning.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Every year, I have a spiritual crisis that is brought on by a sheet of plastic. Most of the Massachusetts apartments I've lived in have old, drafty windows, which I insulate for wintertime with that transparent plastic insulation film that seals up the windows from the inside. Maybe some of you have the experience of putting this up every year. For me, the conundrum always comes with the question of when to put it up. It just sends me into an internal turmoil. Because once I put it up, I'm saying that we won't be opening the windows again until spring. Is this just it? Will there be no more warm days, no more fresh breezes for months? It's just cold now? I finally caved and started putting some of them up over my break between Christmas and New Year's, but I still feel that. It's not done because I'm still wrestling with it. And I bring it to you all. It seems to me that this practical and metaphorical choice is one of surrender, of accepting just what is so. It's a reminder that I am no different from the squirrel from our solstice pageant a few weeks ago, who resists nature's call to bundle up and slow down, only to end up shivering and tired. The cold and shortened days are upon us, regardless of our feelings about them. We are invited then to find the beauty and the wisdom in our wintering. I was first introduced to wintering as a verb like that through British author Catherine May's book called Wintering: The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times. Although I've since learned that folks like Sylvia Plath have used it for quite a while. For Catherine May, wintering is not just about getting through a meteorological season, but through the bleaker, tougher seasons in our lives. May looks to the natural world to learn how best to make it through her own personal winters, writing, "The changes that take place in winter are a kind of alchemy, an enchantment performed by ordinary creatures to survive. Plants and animals don't fight winter," May writes. "They don't pretend it's not happening and attempt to carry on living the same lives that they lived in summer. They prepare, they adapt, they perform extraordinary acts of metamorphosis to get them through. Winter is a time of withdrawing from the world," May continues, "maximizing scant resources, carrying out acts of brutal efficiency, and vanishing from sight. But that's where the transformation occurs. Winter is not the death of the life cycle," May concludes, "but its crucible." So what could be our own winter alchemy, our own enchantment performed not just to survive, but perhaps even delight in winter? Here is proposed alchemy step number 1. Slow down and embrace dormancy. When I look at a tree at the end of autumn and I see that the last of its brown leaves have fallen, my arboreally uneducated mind writes off the tree for the season. But even as the leaves are falling, May writes, the buds of next year's crop are already in place, waiting to erupt again in spring. Most trees produce their buds in high summer, and the autumn leaf fall reveals them, neat and expectant, protected from the cold by thick scales. We rarely notice them because we think we're seeing the skeleton of the tree, a dead thing until the sun returns. But look closely, and every single tree is in bud. From the sharp talons of the beech to the hoof-like black buds of the ash, the tree is waiting. It has everything readying. It is, in fact, the life and soul of the wood. It's just getting on with it quietly. Life goes on abundantly in winter. Changes made here will usher us into future glories. An organization called the Horticultural Therapy Institute, we get a bunch of good names in this sermon, shares a beautiful perspective on dormancy, reminding us that in the plant world, this season of darkness is welcomed as an essential period of rest and hibernation. For humankind, they say, health is dependent upon good sleep habits and adequate rest. Without it, we quickly become dysfunctional both physically and socially. The natural world, of which humans are a part, is no different. The dormant garden should not be seen as dead or decaying. Nothing could be further from the truth. The garden is simply sleeping, preparing for its resurrection in the spring. Historically, they say, the change of seasons has a much greater impact on human activity than what we now experience. It seems we can no longer hear what nature is telling us. Winter was once a time of rest, a time of reflection and slowness, although snowness kind of works too. A time to recover from the stress and strain of life and enjoy the quiet and the calmness. Maybe a period of human dormancy is exactly what we need to bring balance into our lives and restoration to the body, mind, and spirit. Dormancy, in relation to the botanical world, the plant world, is a behavioral and physiological state that involves inactivity and a reduced metabolic rate. In northern climates like ours, trees, shrubs, and perennial plants enter a resting state where life processes slow down during the winter months because no living thing, neither plant nor animal, can remain in a state of continuous activity. Likewise, soil life that has survived winter in a dormant state becomes more active as the temperature warms, constructing a nutrient-rich environment for seed germination and the tender roots of new young plants. Dormancy is a very important part of the phenological rhythm of nature. No living thing can remain in a state of continuous activity. What would slowing down look like in your life right now? Sleeping more? Choosing to eat breakfast quietly or mindfully without the distraction of a book or TV or a phone? If you look through your calendar for the next few weeks, are there things that it would be a relief to say no to or not right now? Or for that matter, things that would be nourishing to say yes to? What might take a quiet winter nap in the garden of your life? Taking a winter's rest so it might sprout and blossom when the time is right. Slow down and embrace dormancy. Proposed alchemy step number 2, turn inwards. This this is a little different from the New Year's resolutions that our culture seems to emphasize that have to do with productivity, self-improvement, and big measurable goals. This is a gentler invitation to quiet introspection, the thoughts that emerge as you look out at the falling snow with a warm cup of tea in your hands and 20 minutes of solitude. In a sermon about spiritual winters, my colleague, Reverend Josh Powellick, wrote, "I assign spiritual qualities to the seasons. I imagine winter as the season for sustained inward look, the honest self-examination, the probing self-reflection. I imagine winter as the womb season," he continues, "the floating, sleeping, dreaming season, the season for gestation, for growth beneath the surface, for growth in the nurturing darkness. I imagine winter," he says, "as the season for preparation, for getting ready, ready for new selves, new commitments, new directions to emerge, just as the physical, earthly winter season is the time when life gets ready, slowly, to emerge green and glorious and new in the spring. Just as life recedes from the earth's surface in winter," Reverend Powellick continues, "and prepares slowly to emerge in the new spring, perhaps something in us recognizes winter is the right time to do our own work of preparation, getting ready. Perhaps the cold, the stillness, the blueness, the fallowness, the emptiness all speak to something deep in us, urging us in our moments of winter solitude, in our moments beneath the cold January stars, in our moments warming by the fire, urging us to take that sustained inward look, to discern what changes we need to make in order to quell our dissatisfactions, in order to respond to our deepest longings." If you read my newsletter column this week, you saw the two questions that I began my new year with. In this quiet winter, I invite you to reflect on them with me. What do you want more of in your life? Or, as Josh Powellick wrote, what are you longing for? And what would be really sweet in this new year? Slow down and embrace dormancy. Turn inwards. And proposed alchemy step number 3, make winter cozy and beautiful. One of my distinguished colleagues was leading a professional development course for ministers, and she asked us what we were doing for self-care. Our meager responses of, well, occasionally I do yoga, or I try to take at least one of my 2 scheduled days off, didn't seem to satisfy her. That's not so much self-care, this distinguished colleague advised, as it is basic maintenance and aftercare. If it doesn't feel luxurious, you're probably not doing enough of it. I think about this a lot when it comes to winter. This season may be cold and dark, and we may get icy rain in our boots. It's a season that calls for extra care and extra coziness. If our care for ourselves and each other doesn't feel luxurious, we're probably not doing enough of it. In 2016, the Oxford Dictionaries named hygge, H-Y-G-G-E, I might not be pronouncing it exactly right, as their word of the year. The meaning of this Danish term is becoming well-known in popular culture. It represents coziness as a kind of mindful practice, a turning toward domesticated comfort to console us against the harshness of the world outside. But beyond chunky socks and warm baths, which are both very good things, hygge is a practice of finding pleasure and beauty in the simplest things. It's like Mary Oliver standing out in a field where snow was falling, so much like stars filling the dark trees that one could easily imagine its reason for being was nothing more than prettiness. Like the child in our story for all ages, what if we made it our mission to have winter be the warmest season? If not always in terms of actual temperature, then at least in spirit. What if we lit candles every evening and morning for their warm glow, or carefully put fuzzy blankets in all of the rooms that we linger in? What if we made up little gift bags of tea and cocoa for our neighbors, or invited our friends over for a bowl of soup and a lingering conversation? What if we took one photo every day of something beautiful that we found in our winter world? Or made a snowman in a public place for all to enjoy? I'm looking at you, Jen Buchwald, who last winter made that exquisite snow sculpture of Theodore Parker out front next to our church's statue of Parker, mask and all. Someone please do similarly again this year. What if we made it fun and cozy? Beloveds, this is our own winter alchemy, our own enchantment performed not just to survive, but perhaps even delight in winter. We slow down and embrace dormancy. We turn inwards, and we make winter cozy and beautiful. I close with a poem from Donna Ashworth, who offers us a gentle New Year's invitation. She writes, "Why do we start a new year with promises to improve? Who began this tradition of never-ending pressure? I say the end of a year should be filled with congratulation for all we survived. And I say a new year should start with promises to be kinder to ourselves, to understand better just how much we bear as humans on this exhausting treadmill of life. And if we are to promise more, let us pledge to rest before our bodies force us. Let's pledge to stop and drink in life as it happens. Let's pledge to strip away a layer of perfection to reveal the flawed and wondrous humanity we truly have inside. Why start another year gifted to us on this earth with demands on our already overstrained humanity when we could be learning to accept that we were always supposed to be imperfect? And that is where the beauty lies, actually. And if we can only find that beauty, we might also find peace. I wish you peace in this year. Everything else is all just a part of it. Let it be so. And amen. In praise of these cycles of the natural world from which we hope to learn, our closing hymn today is All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. It's in your gray hymnals as number 203. Some of you who grew up in Christian traditions might know it as All Creatures of Our God and King. It's a text adapted from St. Francis of Assisi. I invite us now to sing in celebration of the sacredness of life in all seasons. Let us rise in body or in spirit as we sing verses 1, 2, and 3, All Creatures.
All creatures of the earth and sky, come kindred, lift your voices high. Alleluia, alleluia. Bright burning sun with golden beam, soft shining moon with Swift rushing winds so wild and strong, white clouds that sail in heaven along. Alleluia, alleluia, fair rising morning, praise rejoice. High stars of evening find a voice. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Who flowing water pure and clear, make music for all life to hear. Alleluia, alleluia, dance flame of fire so strong and bright, and bless us with your warmth and light. Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
Beautiful. You may be seated, please. Before our closing words, I share a few announcements and invitations to stay connected to the life of this spiritual community. Following our postlude, which is another Philip Glass piece, we'll have two special things, one of which is our social hour over in the parish hall, just through these doors and either up the few stairs or around through the driveway. Thank you to those who are making our social hour possible. And then we invite you to come on back here to the sanctuary or stay on Zoom. It's going to be at the same link for a special presentation from our stewardship team for a pre-launch conversation. Our stewardship drive is going to be slightly different this year in preparation for calling a new minister. It's going to be a really wonderful conversation. We invite you to stick around if you're a member or friend and just want to learn more about what this spring holds for us. So right back here in the sanctuary, right back here in this Zoom room. Following that, next Sunday in the evening, we want you to save the date for the revitalization of our film program, the TPC Justice Film Program. At 5:30 p.m. are going to be streaming the film Birth of a Movement. Really encourage you to come check that out. And coming soon in the end of the month, we're going to be regathering the starting point group, those who are newer to Theodore Parker Church, newer to Unitarian Universalism, or just wanting to renew their connection to this community. Stay tuned for more about that. Please feel free to talk to me about it. Even if you didn't take part in the first two sessions, you're warmly welcome to come, get connected, learn more, and share your stories. We close now with these words from Reverend Kathleen McTeague. May the light around us guide our footsteps and hold us fast to the best and most righteous that we seek. May the darkness around us nurture our dreams and give us rest so that we may give ourselves to the work of the world. Let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great and astonishing dance in which we move. Go in peace, make peace, be at peace. Amen. Those of us online, there's going to be breakout rooms for you to hang out in and get connected in between now and when the stewardship team meeting begins.